Hello everybody, I am back with another Maybe This Will Help with Oswald St. Oswald. Get a little comfortable there, settle in. This may be a long one. I wanted to talk to you today about the power of now. This is not my concept, although I've added my own understandings to it as of late. This concept is all written down in a book by a man named Eckhart Tolle, who I believe is a German-born, English-raised, now Canadian. He chose, after his enlightenment, to come live in Canada. And he wrote this incredible book that I read about 2 years ago, and it took me till this summer to understand. I had a lot of internal conflicts with the things that he said in this book. There's a lot of things to wrap your head around. And once you get it, it's quite simple, but it doesn't make sense because of the outlandishness of what he's saying without having any consciousness already into your mind. If you're someone that's been doing this for a while, then you'll probably be able to concept it a little bit easier. I was at the very beginning of my journey then, and it was hard for me to swallow some of the stuff he was saying. Some of it really spoke to me at the time, but it wasn't until I awakened in the summer that it all kind of clicked, and I finally understood that he's totally right in almost everything that I remember from that book. So I feel like it's important to say that. I'm going to say some stuff in this video that may not sit well with you. You may ponder it, but it may not make sense, and I don't want that to discredit me or you from watching me or listening or watching me in future videos, because, like I said, the concept seems complex until you get it, and then it seems a lot simpler. But that was one where I really was like, oh wow, it does make sense. I suddenly don't have this 50 questions of does it really make sense or not. So, to get started, and again, I'm not going to be doing this whole book justice. It was 2 years ago that I read it. I'm going to give you the main principles that I took from it, that I use, and a couple of my own little additions into it, really only one main one. So the power of now claims that the present moment is the most powerful moment that we have. This moment that we're in right now is the only thing actually going on. That the past doesn't exist anymore. We can remember it because our brains are above average intelligence, and we needed to remember the past for survival and purposes like that, but really it doesn't exist anymore. And the future also doesn't exist. The future is going to exist, but when the future exists, it is going to be the present moment. And we have no control over what happens in the future. We may think we do sometimes, we may hope for the best, but really we have no idea what's coming in the future. We have no idea how things are going to play out, and that is how we end up getting away from the present moment. We go into the past to search for answers or memories or whatever to try and figure out just how to get the future to be how we want it. And in doing that, we get away from the present moment. We're not living in the present moment anymore. I want this future thing, or I'm thinking about this past thing. I will be happy if I have this in the future. I've attached to that, so now I'm going to use my resources from the past to try and figure that out. When really what you should be doing is, it's good to have a goal in the future, don't get me wrong, but that can't be what you're enjoying. If you're stressing yourself out in the present trying to get to that goal. When you get there, it's not going to be as sweet as you wanted it to be. You need to say, what is this present moment? Oh, in this present moment, I'm doing this video. I'm cooking food, I'm eating food, I'm breathing. Is there something I could be doing towards my goal? Yes. Right now, I could be planning what I'm going to do next week, but then once I'm done planning, I'm not going to think about that until it comes time to do those things, until the present moment dictates the time to do those things. Because otherwise we lose the enjoyment. We're not enjoying ourselves in the present. So, all right, I've already planned this now, and now it's time to eat. Instead of eating and just being in the future, oh, next week, now I've decided I need to do this, and I need to do that, and tomorrow at 5 o'clock I'm going here. But instead, wow, right now I'm sitting and I'm eating. I already planned that. That's in the past. That doesn't even exist until it becomes relevant again in the present. I'm going to spend my time with my food, or I'm going to fully immerse myself in this conversation that I'm having with someone, as opposed to being somewhere else. My personal theory on this is past pain creates future fear. Now, in order to explain that a little bit more, I'm going to touch on another concept in the book. And that is, there's two energetic entities that are part of us, but that aren't really us. And it's the pain body and the ego. And the ego is exactly what you think it is. It's, I am supposed to be this. I am supposed to be that. If I don't react in this way to this situation, then I'm not who I thought I was. And the fact of the matter is, we as people aren't our thoughts. I've spoken about this before. Our thoughts are... Oh, that's my washing machine. I don't know if you can hear it. It's going crazy. It's distracting me. Our thoughts are just part of our consciousness, but it's only like 0.01%. Our thoughts aren't us, but we become the thoughts that we identify with. If we identify with, I'm a man, and I'm an honorable man, therefore I expect honor from other people. Now, whenever someone does something that you see as unhonorable according to your code, you're going to have a negative emotion towards it because you've attached and identified with that thought. It's an immovable thought. But now that we know that we are not our thoughts, we can move past that. We don't have to allow our ego to dictate who we are. We can change in any situation. We can just be present in the present, and you say, I know that in the past you've done this, this, and this, and because you're saying this, I feel this way. But that's not the case. Just accept everybody as they are now. And if you find yourself in a situation in the present that you don't want to be in, that's affecting you negatively, you're allowed to leave it. And sometimes when you can't get away from it, that's when you've got to find deeper presence. No inner monologue is what he says. If you're looking at a flower, most of us are going, oh, the flower's green, the flower is a plant, it's this type of flower because it has this many petals. But instead, just allow the flower to be. You don't need to judge it, you don't need to have the inner monologue. You just look at the flower and appreciate that it's there, that it's an expression of consciousness. Just you look deeper past all of the surface features of the flower, and like I said, that may be a hard concept to concept now, but once you get it and you go do that, then it all of a sudden really feels different. It feels different. Back to the ego and the pain body. The pain body is the sum of our painful experiences. These things have happened to us in the past, that have shaped who we are, thoughts we've identified with, things that other people have done to us and the way that affect us. We carry that with us. And it's no good for us. It's no good for us. It doesn't serve us much purpose at all. The only purpose I've found for the past, since I've realized this, is to think of things that made me really happy, just to fill myself up with love. And obviously the functioning of, in the past I said I was going to hang out with this person, and now I have some free time. Right now I'm thinking about filling that free time. I'm going to make a plan with them, and then I'm going to let go of that until it happens. It may not even happen. So to hold it with me until it happens is then placing myself in the future again. Again, bear with me, I know that it can be complicated. Anyways, so the ego and the pain body, they feed on our fears. They want to eat, and they will take us over if we're not conscious of them. Have you ever found yourself in a situation where you're very bent out of shape about something, or you're very upset about something, and you just can't stop reliving the past, or you can't stop reliving what that person did to you that made you feel this way? And you end up acting out of character to yourself. You didn't really want to act that way, but you reacted to whatever the situation was, and now you can't get out of it. You feel down, you feel drained, you feel angry, or something like that. You have a bad, negative emotion happening. This is the ego and the pain body taking us over, affecting us. And it became more prevalent to me once I became separated from that for a lot longer period. Now, they're very tricky, they're very crafty, they know all of our triggers, these two energetic entities. They know our triggers. They're quite intimate with us. They wait for the opportunity. For me, the latest one was, I was supposed to go to a Halloween party that I was really excited about. Ray was playing, it was Suds, a local really wicked punk band from Chatham's last show, and it was in this epic barn with a half pipe. I was so excited, and I was so excited it was in a barn because I'm in a wheelchair. So that meant I didn't have to go up and down stairs, it would be all one flat level, it was going to be amazing. But the day of, I found out there's actually 15 stairs. It's like a second level barn the way it's built. And that really affected me. And that's a big pain body trigger for me. I've got a lot of pain in the past from this wheelchair that I let go, but it doesn't mean that it never happened, right? And so when I learned this news, at first I was trying to be cool with it, and then I was a little frustrated, and then, some past slip stuff in, and I was being conscious of it, and so I was, trying to fight back with positive thoughts and stuff, but literally my brain started attacking me. I started going, and now my friends are going to have to leave early, or I'm not going to get to go, or this and that, and all this negative stuff. And every positive I tried to throw at it, it had a few more negatives for me, because I hadn't fed it in so long. It knew this was its chance. It was going to give it all it had. But I stayed conscious of that these things were just trying to feed on my fear and feed on my past pain and feed on I had this expectation and this future happiness was going to be great. I had attached and identified with all these great things that were going to happen, and I found myself unhappy that my expectations weren't met. And it took me 2-3 hours I had to meditate, and I had to just really think about it in an objective way. And I was like, this isn't the end of the world. There's going to be other parties. There's other ways for me to get up those stairs. If I cannot come from a place of fear and just shut down when something like that happens, maybe I can think of something better so in the future this doesn't happen to me. So that's just one example of how the pain body can get you. Another example would be someone you love. Most of the time, you're just happy, everything's going good, but then they do something that's kind of crappy to you or something, and then all of a sudden you go into the past and you draw on all those past experiences and all those crappy things that they did to you, and all of a sudden those are making you feel really bad. Now, if someone does something really crappy to you, in the moment, you need to bring that up with them. You need to talk to them. And if they don't provide you with an answer that makes you feel better, then maybe you shouldn't be around that person. And that's perfectly fine. But to go back and to relive all of those past pains every single time it happens is really damaging to us. And it's not what we're supposed to be here to do. It's not going to make us happy. It's going to make us suffer. And suffering can be good. They say the best time for enlightenment is at your point of greatest suffering, which was true for me. And so, if you don't understand this and you don't get it and you're suffering, you just accept that you're suffering and keep trying to grow and keep trying to put consciousness on and go deeper into, if you're angry, that's just the tip of the iceberg. You've got deeper things in there that you need to figure out, what you fear, what you don't. A long time ago, I was very attached to having someone live here with me. And I was so attached to it because I was scared to be alone. That is what it boiled down to. And it would manifest itself into anger towards people or attachment towards people, into desperation to keep them around. I would say or do anything because the pain of my fear of being alone was so deep that I had never admitted I had never even seen that was my fear. It was sheltered from me. It came out in all these other ways. So those are two really, really big things to remember, is that the pain body and the ego want to feed on our fears. They want to feed on our pain. Another good thing to say about the ego and the pain body is that people can trigger it within us, especially things like family, people that are really close to us. When it's really close to us, it's harder to be present and shed consciousness on those feelings because of the history and the amount of things that have happened, the amount of triggers that the pain body has to work with. And those people, you just have to accept them. You can't allow yourself to get sucked into their pain body. If their pain body's active and you're close to them, you're going to be affected by their energy field if you let it. Their pain body can snap your pain body into action. And it's very easy to quickly become unconscious. It's like that. All of a sudden you're unconscious and you're acting purely from your pain body or from your ego in a situation because the other person hasn't gotten control of theirs. But when you're fully conscious, when you're fully in this present moment, and you're not allowing the past to affect you, and you're not allowing your fear, you're not allowing your past pain to affect you, and you're not allowing your future fears you're not identifying with those thoughts that are trying to go on in your head, then you can really just, okay, I understand that you're upset right now or you're frustrated right now, and that's making me feel anxious or something like that, but I'm not going to accept your energy into my energy field right now because I can see that your pain body's active. You don't need to say that to the person. If they're a conscious person, you should say that to the person, but just, tell yourself that, and then accept and love this person for who they are right now. Maybe shed some light onto some of their stuff, maybe help them dig a little bit deeper into what's truly troubling them. And because once they're conscious of it, then maybe they come up with a solution. Maybe now they're a little bit more willing to let it go. So that's the fear and the pain body section of the power of now, and that's a very important part that I took from it. And like I said, past pain creates future fear, and both of those take you away from the present. And the present is truly a gift. There's a really great quote out there that ends with, "The present is truly a gift," that I can't remember right now, but it's something that I've really found myself practicing a lot, and it's brought me a lot of happiness. I can very easily start identifying with a thought of like, oh, I really didn't like that thing that happened today, and that reminds me of this thing that happened last week. Well, last week's okay to think about because it was last week and it directly pertains to this thing that I'm thinking about. But that's not true. As soon as you go back there, you're inviting in a whole lot more thoughts. You're identifying with past pains, and then next thing you know, you're going a little further back or you're going a little further forward. If I don't address what happened last week, then this is going to continue happening in the future, and I fear that. And that may be true. The way that we feel is usually what we're going to attract to us. That's not power of now, that's law of attraction. But if you're feeling fearful of the future, then your fears are you're probably going to have things to fear in the future happen to you. So just try and stay in this present moment. Try not to go back. If someone does something to you in this moment, deal with it then. Say, look, that I don't think is right. That makes me feel this, this, and this. And while you're saying that out loud, you're not so much identifying with the thought as you're shedding consciousness on it. As long as you're doing it with the intention of exploring why you feel this way all of a sudden, to explore your fear. I'm angry because you said you wouldn't do this for me. Okay, so why am I angry? I fear that if I'm not angry, that you're going to do it to me again. I fear that I'm going to continue to be hurt by this. I fear that maybe you don't care about me as much as I think that you should. All of these, even can go deeper. You can have many deeper roots. And when you tell yourself those, you'll feel your energy just kind of dissipate from this area. Eckhart also likes to talk about consciousness a lot. That we have a stillness inside of us that when we're completely in a present moment, when we're just looking around and we're not judging anything, we're just here, we're alive, we're breathing. It's just a joyous, still feeling that is amazing. It's something that you can easily get with meditation, and to do it with your eyes open and in any situation is a harder practice, but that's what being truly present all the time is. Sometimes you can only muster it up for 15 seconds and then it goes back, but that's still better than nothing. That's still a little bit of consciousness. It's going to keep getting easier. It's going to keep growing with the more you practice. I promise you. And yeah, I feel like I'm missing an important part of this right now, but I can't think of it. So I'm going to end this video here because I have the option to continue this at any time, and that's a really good place to start. It's what I tell anybody that asks me for help or asks me what I do, is pretty much that, as along with the other stuff in all the other videos. But that is the power of now, to be present. Past pain creates future fear. The past doesn't actually exist anymore. It's just only what we remember exists. And anybody that, even people went through the exact same scenario with you, their past is going to be a little different in their heads than the way that you viewed that past. So when we go into the past, we're all not even working on the same information anymore. And same with the future. The future doesn't exist yet. It has not yet come to light, and nobody, except for maybe psychics, as we develop these abilities in ourselves, maybe we will know the future a little bit more. And sometimes too, and this is important, that we can feel the future sometimes. When we get really passionate about something, we can almost feel what the future is going to be like, but we can't attach to what that feels like. We can't attach to that being the way that it's going to be, because we don't know that it's going to play out exactly how we think it is. We know that if we do this, and this is what we want to do, probably good things are going to keep happening. We're going to learn lessons, we're going to get there, but we don't know how it's going to happen. We don't know how it's going to feel. We really just need to enjoy every moment. And if your goal for the future has got you not enjoying this moment, then you need to reassess what you're doing in the moment all the time. If you can't change what you're doing in the moment, if you can't do something to help yourself if you can't do something to help your problem in the future, then there's no point in worrying about it right now. Just let it go. If you have a problem that isn't going to be a problem until 5 days from now, you can spend those 5 days worrying about it, or you can just be present and deal with the problems as they come in the present. And then they're not as big of problems because you either can or can't do something about it, and if you can't, well then it's out of your control anyway, and it's just going to play out how it plays out. Try and be creative. Try and come up with solutions. And when you're feeling joy and you're living in the present, then creative solutions come a lot more in abundance. So anyways, that's enough for today. Later days, my friends. I love you all so much. I hope maybe this will help. And I will be back tomorrow with another wonderful topic for you guys.